cards, PogChamp. New cards, PogChamp. It was too early, and I read this card wrong. Performage Ball Balancer. This is a Pendulum Scale 3. You can only use the Pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can send a face-up Performage Pendulum monster from your extra deck to the graveyard that increases card's Pendulum Scale by the 10 monsters. And as a monster effect, you can only use the 1, 2, 3 hard once per turn. If you control a Performage, you can special summon this card from your hand. If normally special summoned, you can either add a Performage Pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck face-up, destroy a Performage you control, and when an opponent's special summon monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Okay. This card's good. It's kind of hard to get a bead on Performage because Pendulum has kind of existed in the context of all that came before it and has become this coconut-style assemblage of nonsense for the past couple of years. So it's hard to conceptualize a Pendulum deck that plays other cards that are different than what it is already playing, which is the best of the best of a series of 9 years of releases. But I think a version that's playing a lot of Perform Mages could theoretically do well. There's a lot of strength in the Perform Mages, most notably the now errataed Perform Mage Plushfire, which has a hard once per turn on it, but is still a very powerful card. This is a card that can set that up. It destroys a Perform Mage monster card you control, which is great because that little plush fire triggers from everywhere. And also, it's just generally good that they are printing malleable extenders for this archetype. You know, you want it to be able to do more than one thing exactly, so that if your opponent plays in a certain way, you can adapt. And this is that. You know, it can either astrograph you to get you a Perform Mage you want, or it can pop your stuff to extend you further. I also like this Pendulum Scale effect. I think it's good too. It lets you modulate the scale number. Theoretically, it's a high scale. And also, it's not hard to imagine a scenario where you get, say, a Spellcaster Pendulum into the graveyard, and then you can revive it with a card like Selene for an extra material on a link. I think this card's great. I think it's really good. Will it be the difference maker for Perform Mage? I don't know. But there's just so many different cards that they've released for this archetype, I can't really conceptualize them all in the same deck yet. Chat says the Pendulum Soup deck died with Electromite. I think you and I have very different ideas of what Pendulum Soup is. You know, I was seeing people be like, it's not like that anymore. Now it's Supreme King Zark Pendulum Magicians. And I'm like, buddy, it's been Supreme King Zark Pendulum Magicians for decades. Next up. That's 2 archetypes, but they're the same too. Burn as Bright as the Sun with Odd Eyes Soul Blaze Dragon. All right, so this is a level 8 Light Dragon Synchro effect monster. You can only use one effect among the first and second effect with this card's name per turn. If this card is special summon. To special summon a face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck, you cannot special summon while you control that face-up monster except for Pendulum monsters. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 2 other Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Pendulum monsters from your graveyard and special summon this card. Huh. Well, you know who this card is really good for? Personally, I would be buying stocks in Let's Go 2121. It's not worth living in. It's a tuner, so you need to make a synchro. It's like, okay, so what you're supposed to do is special it from the graveyard and then special a face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck and then immediately synchro summon so that you can unlock yourself, because otherwise it would just be a one guy linked to on any turn past 1. But the pool for those is not very good. And, chat is letting me know it is a 1 effect per turn, so it doesn't even trigger itself. All right, this card is bad. This card's not good at all. This card is not remotely strong. It's bad. Next up. New Fiendsmiths, PogChamp. New Fiendsmiths, PogChamp. All right, first, I want to talk about this first one because it's so funny. Blood Tier Demon Lacrimosa. This is my original Fiendsmith OC, Blood Edge the Fiendsmith. This card is always treated as a Fiendsmith card. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can send a Fiendsmith from your deck to the graveyard, and during your opponent's turn, you can target a Fiendsmith, shuffle this card into the deck, and special summon that monster. I'm so happy that they have given us this card. This is unbelievable. Okay, so here's the deal with Fiendsmith. It's incredibly powerful, of course, but why is it incredibly powerful? Let's think about it critically. It gets you an inordinate amount of link material, which is being used for a Promethean princess, right? It's almost exclusively being used to make Promethean princess a little earlier than you're supposed to. But the monsters are 6s, which gets you to Beatrice. It gets you to Beatrice. So now we're in a position where it's like, what do the Fiendsmiths allow you to accomplish? Starters for exactly Fiend decks like Ubel and decks like Snake Eye. But those cards are independently problems. So it's not hard to imagine a scenario in which the Fiendsmiths survive the upcoming ban list, I think pretty likely, and those decks maybe get hit. And if that's the case, well, then maybe the Fiendsmiths could do some pretty cool, interesting stuff in some rogue decks. Valmonica, Cam Neal brought Magical Musketeer to the points playoff. There's a ton of really interesting stuff. And that stuff would be made more consistent and helped by a normal summon in this deck that otherwise doesn't actually have one, right? Because you pitch the Fiendsmith for Tract for Lurie, Lurie for the 1, and then, well, you never actually performed your normal. This card being the card that does use your normal feels good. I think that it's an incredibly powerful effect, but I think that's a fine payoff for spending your normal summon on an effect like this, and I think it will encourage people to use the Fiendsmiths to do Fiendsmith stuff, not to set up Snake Eyes, for instance. I think it's a very powerful card, and I think it will see a ton of play. But, notably, I think it isn't the end of the world. I don't think it's going to break anything in half that isn't already broken. However, this next card might just be a little too powerful. Here we go. Ready? Once per turn, you can target a non-light fiend in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, equip this card to it as an equip spell with these effects. The equipped monster gains attack equal to the link ratings of the link monster cards equipped to it, and if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. Agnus Dei is right, because we're gonna need a savior after this card hits the meta. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. That's fine, though. This card could be a vanilla, and because it says Fiendsmith and it's a Link 3, there would be cases where you have to do this. Whatever. It's okay. I don't think it will make it into the decks that are playing Fiendsmith because the extra deck is so unbelievably tight, but it's not hard to imagine a world in which, like, the new level 4 improves Fiendsmith as a strategy to the point where they can either play solo or play with a very minimal secondary engine that doesn't need the extra deck, and maybe it'll get a slot then. At least it prevents your DSC Ray from being run over. I don't know. Next up. Okay, what is going on here? What is going on? I don't understand. Why is Valiant Smashers getting 5 waves of support for their dog-ass monsters? Like, I would kill for a good goatee. 4 waves for Valiant Smashers. Fucking hell. The problem, regrettably, is that Memento is actually quite fun and good. I think it's a really cool archetype. I really appreciate it. I think it plays in an interesting way. It interacts in such an it's got these layered interactions that do different things and require different board states. It actually is peak. But you don't have to give them this much. Okay, so this is, I can't remember who this is. Akirion. Is that the old card? Yeah, look at him. Oh, he does not look good. But he's back, baby. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate this effect. Level 9 or higher Memento monsters can attack directly this turn. Okay, that card is not, that's not very good. If this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can target another Memento card in your graveyard or banishment, add it to your hand. Okay. That effect is actually insanely strong. And then if a Memento monster in your hand or face of field is destroyed by battle or effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. This is now the best card in the deck. Okay, so the way Memento works, Tatsunoto Shigo, it's really difficult to get off an effect that will get this into rotation because I think it's a 5 and this is a 5 and you want to be able to send 3 cards or at least 2 cards, Sheepy and Gaddock, right? But here it would be the whole enchilada. Which is why it's a 5. But it can be weaved further in the combo. Chad has figured it out. Yes, Goblino is fantastic at getting this card into rotation. The deck already has a billion extenders. It's not unthinkable to imagine a scenario where you're able to pivot one of those into this card, which really does drastically increase both the ceiling and the recoverability of the strategy. It's really a fantastic card. I'm truly shocked at just how good every piece of Memento Legacy support is. I don't think there's been any misses yet. The original Memento strategy wasn't fantastic, but it was at minimum playable. Then they released Gaddock, which revolutionized how you play the deck. Sleepy and the new combined creation, which revolutionized how you play the deck. And now this. I mean, it looks really strong. Memento duelists have been eating good for the past 4 sets, and looks like they're going to continue to eat in Rhoda. Looks really good. Twin Thunder. Oh, yeah, Twin Thunder was Legacy. I keep forgetting because the deck feels so incomplete without it. Ugh. All right, next up. New trap cards, PogChamp. New trap cards, PogChamp. So they're trying to make trap cards good again. Good luck. We're beginning with Magical Idol Soul. This turns you blue if you take too much of it. If a monster is special summoned by a trap effect, you can special summon this card from your hand to graveyard, but if you special summon it from the graveyard, banish it when it leaves the field. During your opponent's battle phase, you can activate one of these effects, either Synchro using this card you control or Xyz using this card you control. This is cool. This is an interesting concept. As a 2, it works obviously really well with the Paleos. I believe it does trigger off of those. It's not that difficult to access, just because, these days you can go for the rabbit into one of the new trap cards, summon it, and then get this out as a way to convert that into something relevant. What's Azure Rune? A 4? Unfortunately, the best target in Azure Rune does go to the graveyard, but I don't think Silohat does. Of course, this card has been out for a couple of weeks now. By a couple of weeks, I mean exactly 4 days. No one has tried anything with it yet, and as a result, I don't think it is likely to make an appearance in anything, no matter how prevalent Silohat Rabbit itself is. But if the goal of your deck is to take a bunch of 2s and convert them into a bunch of monsters, including a Silohat, maybe, maybe it shows up in Sprite. It helps that it's an Aqua. Next up. Volmina, Statue of the Sacred Dragon. If a monster is special summoned by a trap effect, you can target a card on the field, return it to the hand, then special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Volmina's Statue of the Sacred Dragon once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can place this monster in your Pendulum Zone, and if you do, return the opponent's monster to the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card in your monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum Zone. God, they are trying so hard to make you play trap monsters. They're like, you have to play trap monsters. It's a really interesting card. For those of you that played the sealed pre-release, you may have seen a lot of this card because it was very good in it. But, I don't know. It's going to take a Herculean effort for me to feel good playing trap monsters. Quebico. Earth level 2. Once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field that targets a card, you can set this card in your spell and trap zone, negate that opponent's effect. Then, if that monster has the highest attack on your opponent's field, return it to the hand. What does this do? I don't understand the use case for this card, because doesn't it have to be face up to trigger that effect? So you activate it, and then you're like, target something. Then I'll use my onboard trick to fuck you up. Strange. Yes, it's clearly a rabbit target, but I just can't figure out a world in which you set this off rabbit. And, like, this is going to sound stupid, but if you have to target a card, can't you just run it over? Yes. Okay, then you don't kill them and they have follow-up. No. All right, next up. You know, if the goal of this card is to get your opponent to skip the battle phase, you can just play Threatening Roar. You understand that? You can just play Threatening Roar. Turn the tides of battle with Surging Clash of Blazing Seas. Okay. Whether you're fire or water, there's no way you don't come out on top. Okay, so the two monsters on this are big fucking asshole Garunix. And is that Poseidra? All right. Discard a water monster to the graveyard. Then target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Destroy that target. Destroy a fire monster in your hand, then draw a card. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from the graveyard, target a level 7 or 8 water fire monster in your graveyard, special summon it. I don't really want to discard a water monster to the graveyard. And also, like, this fire one it sounds decent, but you actually don't want to. This is kind of counterintuitive. In, like, Fire King Snake Eye, you don't actually want to pop any fire monsters. It sounds dumb, right? It sounds really stupid. But, like, you want to pop them in very specific scenarios to proc very specific effects. Like, just popping a Kieran at the start of your turn doesn't do anything, right? Just popping Garunix, it's like, fucking... And the draw's cool, but it's not fantastic. Look at this card later with the water stuff. It gets more relevant than its cost. Well, it'd have to get very relevant. All right, we will get to what you all want me to look at. Conquer the Seas with Mermail Atlanteans. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Mermail and Atlantean are technically two separate archetypes. Despite the fact that they're played in the same deck, they've been two separate archetypes the entire time. And now they are not. They are one archetype. They have teamed up, finally. All right. We're going to begin with Mermail Shadow Bodyguards, treated as an Atlantean card. You can discard a card to the graveyard. The levels of all water monsters you control become 7 until the end of the turn. It's an interesting effect. I imagine it's supposed to get out like Mermail Abyss Gaios. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, special summon... Oh my fucking god. Special summon a level 4 or lower Atlantean Mermail from your deck. Also, you can't special for them from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except water monsters. Okay. So, first off, that second effect doesn't really matter. Water has a ton of really cool link things you can do. Xyz, synchro things you can do. There's a lot of room to play with that second effect. Am I right in assuming you have to have a monster on field to activate this? No. You can do it on a blank board? Oh, one card. I thought it said this card. Yes, okay. All right, I see what's going on. Next up, Abyss Shrine, the Atlantean Spirit. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. You can tribute this card from your hand and one Atlantean or Mermail from your hand or field. Take a level 7 Fish, Sea Serpent, or Aqua Monster from your deck. Either add it to your hand or special summon it, and you're waterlocked. During your opponent's turn, banish this card from your graveyard and discard a card to the graveyard, draw a card. This is the greatest card I've ever seen, folks. Repost if you are a real coelacanth gamer. Repost if you are a real coelacanth gamer. Holy shit. That's incredible. They just gave me exactly what I wanted. Wow. Okay, so usually when a new water combo comes out and it includes Coelacanth, I go, yeah, right, that's not going to happen. You know, Goatee, Abyss Dweller, what's the new Abyss Keeper, all that stupid shit didn't pan out. But this is like, Jesus Christ, it's so good. It's incredible. I mean, it's clearly meant to support exactly Coelacanth. Oh, man. And the second effect, my God. You can banish this card from your graveyard and discard a card to the graveyard, draw a card. So that's meant to proc all of the Mermail Atlanteans on your opponent's turn as well. Jesus. It's really shocking. It's really incredible. Oh, okay. We do have a 7 that's maybe worth making now. Poseidra Abyss, the Atlantean dragon deity. Oh, thank God they finally gave Poseidra something to do, because the previous Poseidra came out in the Mermail Atlantean structure and then just did hot nothing. Once per turn, you can summon this using one Atlantean or Mermail Xyz you control. Holy. So you're supposed to go to Abyss Gaios, which is a 2-mat 7, into just a 3 for free. Once per turn, you can Xyz summon Poseidra Abyss. Once per turn, you can detach 2 materials and send a water from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Return up to 3 cards your opponent controls to the hand. Okay, so that's crazy. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, obviously, the send is unbelievable because it procs all the effects. The bounce is an incredible payoff. It being slow is something. Doesn't target. Wow. Holy. If this Xyz summoned card is sent to the graveyard, discard 1 card to the graveyard, special summon 3 level 3 or lower fish, sea serpent, or aqua monsters from your hand to the graveyard. Are you fucking with me? And the overlay is an Xyz summon? It's Flamberge. They just gave it Flamberge. It's just Flamberge. You can just link this guy off. So I think it's kind of hard to link this guy off because, like, the best case scenario is you put it in the EMZ and you link it off for Gravity Controller, but you're going to be waterlocked. You're going to need exactly 1 link to. So probably like Abyss Keeper. Or this guy. Or fucking this guy. Neptabyss, the Royal Mermail. Oh, he's looking good. He's actually looking like shit. I liked the way he looked before. This is Twink Death. You can only use the second and third effect of this card's name once per turn. Your opponent cannot target water monsters this card points to with card effects. If a water monster is sent to the graveyard to activate a card effect, you can take an Abyss equip and equip it to this card. If this card is destroyed by your opponent, you can add an Atlantean or Mermail from your deck to your hand. Wow. 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 Oh, and we have a new equip. Special summon an Atlantean or Mermail from your hand to graveyard. Equip it with this card. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target up to 3 fish, sea serpent, or aqua monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. Okay, one of them's got to be bad. One of them's got to be bad. Okay. Wow. That's unbelievable. Okay, a couple of questions about this. Second effect of new Neptabyss. Does this activate in the same chain? So if my opponent goes like, let's say, Raigeki, can I activate the graveyard effect of this card to bin a monster and then CL2 go into Neptabyss? Or trigger the Neptabyss? No, it's time to like Fenrir. Okay, that's good at least. because the Abyss scales are really annoying insofar as when a spell effect that was activated on your opponent's side of the field resolves, negate the effect, and send the card to the graveyard, they negate at the point of resolution. So there's like a lot of weird scenarios where it boxes out stuff. But still. Mandatory. It is mandatory, so it's easy to bait out, is the concept. But now you get to choose when it ends up on your field. You know, that said, it has to be a little telegraphed because it's Fenrir and not chainable. They counter Super Poly? Well, not really. You have to end with them on your side of the field, and your opponent can just activate a spell before the Super Poly. This card really shocks me because, like, so you're supposed to get 2 7s, overlay for Abyss Gaios, overlay for this guy, link him off for probably Coral Anemone. Special 3 guys, special a 4th guy off Coral. One of the guys is Shadow Bodyguards. Bodyguards to modulate to 7. 2 Abyss Gaioses into 2 of these guys again. And then you get your entire fucking board filled because this isn't once per turn. Right? Am I crazy? Does that work? Oh, the 7 is once per turn. Okay, so they've boxed it out in a way that the zones allow you to use this effect exactly twice. No, theoretically, you could still do it. You could theoretically still do it. You just have to overpay on a link monster. That's funny. And this the Shadow Bodyguards effect is also once per turn, so you can't make that happen over and over again. The problem is, at present, I'm not really sure what the payoff looks like. I'm not as familiar with like water generics as I think I would like to be. Back in the day, water was like an off-meta deck that like hand looped for 5 using like Linkross, Halcdon combos. The deep sea stuff is really shocking. But these days, I'm trying to think what their end boards would look like. You could do a little hand looping. You know, Trish is around. Dragite is a really good synchro you can go into. Of course, here in America, we still have Totally Awesome. I think some of these guys are Aqua, right? Yeah, this one, for instance. Bahamut Shark, Abyss Dweller, Quandanx for Caryondriax. Moulin Glacia will get banned. Kraken. Oh yeah, we can make the fake number 3. Gimmer Agrine is an ass if we can get to it. Yeah, we got a lot to work with. Maybe we can even go Zapper Shrimp into a Goatee of the Deep Beyond. Armor Xyz. Are they all water? I know Armor Xyz is water. I thought that Full Armor was earth or something. Aura made a sample list and end board. All right, what are we working with? Okay, well, this looks like shit. Wait, this doesn't look particularly good. You know what, actually? I said that, but I think it actually is really good because you get to craft the hand a little bit so the Abyss Lacia is an interrupt, as is the new Mermail in the graveyard. So this is a 4-card hand into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of interaction off of Diva. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Oh, there's so much to think about here. Let's see if I can. Let's see if Lithium has put something up already. He has not. All right, he'll figure out a way to break it for sure. Probably later today. Because there was no Lithium, let's watch a little Lanky box.
are about to see the shocking truth about Lanky Box.
Okay, moving on. Battle Wasp. Battle Wasp. When commons unite, they can never be struck down. B-Force, Jerry. It's B-Force. Rapier the Furious. If you control no face-up monsters other than insect monsters, you can discard an insect monster, put a Battle Wasp Wind from your deck face-up in your spell and trap card zone. Is that a new card? Then special summon this card from your hand, and you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except it's Seamoon. It's Evil Seamoon. Are you kidding me? You can banish this card from your graveyard, reduce the level of one insect monster you control by 1. Battle Wasp Grand Partisan the Revolution. Oh. Cannot be destroyed by card effects. Insect Sinkers gain 200. If this card becomes banished, special summon it, then destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of banished insect monsters, then inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed by this effect. Funny. Sachi the Ritual Bow. If this card is synchro summoned, it's a tuner. You can return a continuous spell you control to the hand during the main phase's turn, additional normal. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, inflict 100 to your opponent for each of your banished Battle Wasps. Armament Swarm. Can't special summon for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except insect monsters. Special an insect monster with 1,000 or less attack from your hand or deck. Oh. And if you special summon from the deck, send a monster you control to the graveyard. Who care? If a face-up insect sinker you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, banish this card, add a summoning swarm from your deck to your hand. And now Battle Wasp Wind. Up to twice per turn, if a Battle Wasp monster is normal or special summoned to your field, you can target one of them, add a Battle Wasp with a... Oh, it's literally just Black Whirlwind. It's Black Whirlwind. Once per turn, you can target an insect monster you control that has a level. If you use it as a synchro material, you can treat it as a tuner. Holy shit. That's incredible. So... normal buggy search, special buggy search. No. Oh, it's got to be Battle Wasp, not insects. Oh? That's normal summon Diva. Shit on my ass. All right, thank you. This looks... This looks good. Let me ask a couple of questions here. So, this one places a Battle Wasp Wind. Does that count as an activation? No. Okay, so you can place Battle Wasp Wind, right? Trigger it twice. Then you can use Sachi the Ritual Bow to bounce it to get an extra normal, activate it, and trigger it 2 more times. Am I correct? It's 4 searches. Oh my god. Okay. Let me ask the question. What does it do? These are all cool cards. They're great extenders. The deck already has a lot of good extenders. But if extenders were the problem, you know, Insector would be the best deck in the game because it's an insect deck that can theoretically make infinite material off of almost nothing. The problem with the insect pile has always been that it locks you into insects super early, and there's really not actually too much you can do with insects. It could make Ragnarika stuff. That's good. That's, you know, that's something. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is just off Rapier the Furious. All right, they're going to just grab a card to discard off of it. Into Battle Wasp, Wind. Sting the Poison. Pin the Bullseye. Arbalest the Rapid Fire. Missed the 200 here. Sachi. Arbalest. Twin Bow. Arbalest Pin. Diabolantis for Gokipole for Resonance Insect. Armorhorn Extra Normal into Mantis Monk. Get Crawler Soma. And, whoa, what the fuck is that card? Ragnarika Bleached Wisteria? I've never seen that card. Bring back Grand Partisan. Banish Praying Mantis. Into Invincible Atlas into Stinglancer into Landing. Soma for 2 cards. Into Pico. Into Landing, into Cruel Saturnus, into Begram. Holy shit. Someone call Alex. It's masochist time. Into Armorhorn, into Wicked Butterfly, into these 2, into Stag Sovereign, into Armorhorn, into Papillion, into Set, Bleached Wisteria, Insect Armor, Wind, Sting the Poison. This is 1 negate. Sort of a pop. 2 pops. And the Transmigration Prophecy. And you got to play Crawler Soma and Axon and Spine to get there. Oh, man. I thought maybe they would give these people something to do. Oh, God. It feels almost exactly like Blackwing now, insofar as it makes really, really unbelievable amounts of extension through almost anything, but it really can't put up a board that wins the game. One from another chatter. All right, what are we working with? No, don't discard Pin! Sting the Poisoned into Wind, into Pin, into Arbalest. Oh, treat it as a tuner for Sachi. Diabolantis, send Gokipole. This looks similar so far. What the fuck? Splitting Planarian. Jesus Christ. I didn't know this was an insect. Into Grand Partisan, into Twin Bow. Special out Twin Bow. Grab Sting. These 2 for Armorhorn. Splitting Planarian. Splitting Planarian for 2 Twin Bow. Cicada King. Cicada Negate to cycle back the Synchro. Mantis Monk. Modulate the Partisan. Ballista the Armageddon. Into Pico. Pico effect. Draw 1. Into Stag Sovereign. Into Begram. I feel so bad for B-Trooper truthers. I feel really bad for them. What do you even say to these people? You can't hurt them worse than they've already been hurt. Oh, man. That was crazy. Oh, wow. This whole combo was just to search Beargram. It's the SEMO special. Holy shit. Oh, God. I'm sorry, dog. Until I see a payoff, I'm not buying it. Mastermind the duel with Puppet Shark Style. This is like a gimmick puppet card? Puppet Shark. Detach an Xyz material from a monster on field, and if you do, excavate the top 4 cards of your deck, choose this effect, then apply its effect based on the type, and put the rest in the same order. Either add it to your hand or set it. It can be activated this turn. Okay, this card is not very good. This card is not remotely good. Wow, it's just Not good. I do like some people saying paleo. I guess you could theoretically set it with paleo. It's like Trap Trick that doesn't lock you, but it's also ass, and you already have to have Opabinia. This card is not good. It's very not good. Wow. Or maybe you can get a hand trap. We did this. Okay, Terminal World 2. Okay, so in case you're unfamiliar, I guess we're getting Terminal World 2. It will be focusing on 4 existing themes, including Fabled, and Jurak, as well as reprinting a bunch of DT cards, and including quarter-century secret rares. Oh my god, we're never getting away from these. That's crazy. What do we think they're going to get? Rekindling would be funny. Fableds are actually an archetype that has a lot of potential. I don't think Juraks really do, but Fableds really do. Worms? I'd be in for Worms. We just got Gem Knights and Pote. It can't be Gem Knights. Snake Eyes Ash? Oh, a new Snake Eyes Ash piece of support. Yeah. Evil Swarm's Trust. True. Next up. Start a new game plus with Valmonica Hereditare. Nope.
Ereditare.
Hereditare. You can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, and only once that turn. When a spell, trap card, or monster effect is activated and you control a Valmonica Link, negate the activation, destroy the card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, shuffle Valmonica cards from your graveyard banishment or face-up extra deck equal to the number of resonance counters on your field. Then you can draw a card for every 3 shuffled. Okay. It's kind of weird. I guess probably it will see play because Valmonica has a lot of hands that just like randomly search an additional card. And like you would prefer this over the follow-up, I guess, because it's also sort of follow-up on its own. But I wish is correct. It doesn't really synergize with the rest of the deck because it doesn't have a life gain or a damage effect, which means you can't copy it with the links, which means that it is just the one negate as opposed to the other traps, which you'll always be prioritizing. I don't know. It seems fine. You'll get this card like 1 out of 10 games. I think so. I think there's like high roll hands that will need this card and they will play it as a result, but ugh. And finally, new Centurions. Why are we still getting, again, 4th wave of Vassum support. Centurion Chimera. Chimelia. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect is chain link 2 or higher. Make that effect become your opponent puts it. Oh my god. Okay. It was cute with the Dark Worlds because the Dark Worlds do a little brainwashing. Stop printing this effect on cards. Stop printing this effect on cards. I don't want to see it. It's annoying. I guess it's a monster negate. I guess sort of it is a monster negate if they are chaining to something. During the main phase, if this card is a continuous trap, you can special summon it. And then Centurion Primera Primus. Okay, an 8. They are in the market for an 8. If this card is synchro summoned out of Emblema from your deck or graveyard to your hand, then destroy a card you control and a card your opponent controls. So can you not do this if your opponent doesn't have a board? It says then you can, right? So you don't have to. Okay. If this special summon card can't be destroyed by battle unless it was specialed from the extra deck. If a face-up Centurion leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon this card from the graveyard. Boy, this is irritating. Wow. Wow, that's irritating. That is. I will tell you this: there's no way Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity lives, because they would not be giving this deck these tools if it could still just do it. Japan is already cooking. Okay. The field spell. Trudea. Gargoyle 2. Oh, okay. That seems pretty good. Who is that? New Synchro? But the new Synchro is an 8, right? Gargoyle is a 4. Yeah. Here's the 12. Gargoyle 1. Phalanx. He's like slapping those cards when he points on them. Bop. These guys out. Uh-oh. Oh, Blazar. Right. Whew. OCG. How do people play this deck? It just seems so boring to me. I don't... Oh, yoy. Okay, let me ask you all a question before we conclude today. How do you guys feel about acrylics? This is like the new type of like anime merchandise. I think they suck. I'm evil. I think they're bad. I don't understand why they're popular. They're just nothing. They're just thick stickers. What's the... They're just little fucking things. They're fine if you're on a budget. If I'm on a budget, I'm just printing out little pictures of these guys. I'm not... I like them on keychains. Okay, I could see them going well on keychains. MBT hating poor people having things again. If you think a 1999 acrylic statue is the budget option for the anime enthusiast, you're going to hell when you die. I don't know. I just think it's odd. All right. That's the end of New Cards, PogChamp.